Welcome or welcome back, beautiful souls, to the channel. I'm Chica, Conscious Mentor, and today I'm going to be going over the Cancer new moon and what you need to know for this Cancer new moon on June 29th, 2022. I'm actually so excited to do this video. As you can hear the birds in the background, I'm actually in Greece, Clarissa, and I'm here on my breathwork intensive. And with the birds and whatnot, I'm just about a day early, and I thought it would be really beautiful to record this, and I might even record the meditation for this video for this new moon soon as well. But the medicine here, the birds, the moths, the nature, it's just been so beautiful. So what a beautiful sound to listen to while we do this energy update. Before we get into the video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like, subscribe, put notification bell so you don't miss a video. I do these videos every single month for you lovely souls. I also do weekly videos for you beautiful souls. If you feel called to work with me deeper, I have my one-on-one mentoring, my courses, as well as my retreats that will be down below for you lovely souls. Now let's get into this Cancer new moon. So who are Cancers? Let me know down below with your sign if you are a Cancer moon, Cancer rising. It's so crazy because as I'm recording this, you know, we just finished Sagittarius season, and if you didn't watch that video on the Sagittarius full moon, go check it out. It's really, really good. And we talk about adventure and shifting in those new beginnings. And I don't know about you guys, but this Sagittarius past full moon was heavy, and the Cancer new moon is what we need. So we're gonna really go into this. The first thing that you need to know about this Cancer new moon is that take care of your environment, your home space, the place you spend the most time, whether it's work, whether it's asking yourself, where do I spend the most time, my energy? You know, are you commuting from work? Is that where you spend most of your time, in your car? Is it at home? A beautiful bird just almost flew up to me. Is it, you know, with your loved ones, your kids? Where do you spend most of your time? Because this Cancer new moon is going to ask us to have a newness, a new energy in our environment. We're being called to make our space feel like home. You know, Cancers put a lot of love and nurturing in their space and in their relationship. So if there's one thing we can learn about the Cancer and when they're at their best, is they always want to give, they always want to provide. Cancers love to make a good meal for other people. They love to just let you know that they love you. And this is a great, you know, I think is a great reminder that when we put love in our environment, we flourish in that environment. So maybe some of you have just moved and you're now finally getting for the first time, oh, this is so beautiful. I wish you guys could see this. There's so many songbirds coming up. I feel like Snow White, except, you know, beautiful, not Snow White. I feel like beautiful goddess, you know. But it's just so funny they all came in. How are you putting yourself on a pedestal? How are you working on yourself the most? And I think that's what really this new moon is really calling us in to do. So I'm going to pull out a card for you guys and see what they have for this energy update. Let's see what we got. Cards are so nice here. Yang. I love this. I love this so, so much. So what this is calling us, and we have the number 1. So 1 represents new beginnings. And it's calling us to use the masculine energy to put structure, allow us to create the dream of what does my dream space want to feel like? What does my dream environment want to feel like? The masculine principle is movement and creative activity, the power that makes things happen, taking action. So some of you have been wanting to declutter and you haven't been decluttering. The Cancer new moon's a reminder that we need to clean up our space. So making, you know, redecorating, getting some feng shui going on, that's really what's being called here. Using this, I'm going to do it later, I'm going to do it later, I'm going to do it later with your environment, spring cleaning, purging clothes. I know I'm one of those for that. Regardless of what it is, this is your time that you have to really call in and get it done, okay? And I think a lot of people don't give the masculine credit for being creative. You know, I do think the feminine is the goddess of creativity, but the masculine is also the goddess of holding that creativity, structure. And for some of us that have been in very maybe strict childhoods or strict family spaces, this is where we get an opportunity to have a new relationship with practice of structure and finding out what works best for us. So I love this card for us, and at the bottom of the deck when I flipped it up is Treasure Island, and we got the turtle energy, which is slowing down. So this is really telling you put intention in what you're doing, and also when we're purging, sometimes we might find hidden gems of things that we need to use in our practice again. But also, you know, Treasure Island is saying that through the idea of us purging, you know, in our environments, we can actually receive so much healing from it. So let that sit a little bit, because I know it's so easy for us to procrastinate what we want to do and cleaning up. But like I said, if you don't have a healthy environment, you will not flourish. The second thing you need to know about this Cancer new moon on June 29th, 2022 is that don't allow I hope you can hear me because of in the back. But don't allow the reaction of your emotion to shift your whole day. What I am today will be my tomorrow. So with Cancer, it's bringing up a lot of reactive energy, you know, the feeling of putting a lot of love into things and not seeing the result right away, or wanting the relationship to be committed but not seeing that that person is committed the way that you want it to be. And through these discussions that we're having around this new moon, we're finding out, you know, how we're being reactive instead of communicative. There's a difference. When we're reactive, we feel like there's a need that is not being pertained, that is not being assisted, that is not being loved, that is not being given that energy. When we are, you know, in a space of expression and communication, we're calling in our truth, and it's coming from the heart. It's not coming out of a space of feeling like there's a lack of. So let's pull out a card for this one, because I really love this, and this was a great reminder with me recently. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that I had a crazy travel experience during the Sagittarius full moon, and I'm seeing it ripple into the Cancer new moon that's going to be coming up. And I basically got my flight canceled, and then I went through a whole bunch of delays. I basically didn't sleep for 2 days, and during that experience, why I'm sharing this with you is that I was really frustrated. I was really angry. I was annoyed of not feeling seen and heard, and a lot of you have been sharing this with me on Instagram around the Sagittarius and being like, Shika, I'm feeling the same, and this is crazy, and I love your support. Thank you to all that messaged me during this time. But once I allowed myself to move out of the reactive, of being annoyed, being angry, but also giving myself free permission to be in that emotion, I then moved into laughter and gratitude and said, what do I need? What I need is groundingness, I need sleep, and I need food. So I knew the moment I was able to be my masculine, in the sense that I was in an environment that I can control, I got to the hotel, I took a shower, I took a nap, I put the boundary of not meeting up with one of the sisters here who's doing their breathwork certification with me, and be like, I can't meet up right now, but I can meet up later, you know. So here is, I allowed myself to make an environment, and again, we're going back to environment with this Cancer new moon on June 29th, 2022, and I really tune into how can I make sure that I can communicate my needs so I don't react and put that energy on other people. One thing that people don't share a lot is that we are responsible for our emotions, right? We are responsible for everything that we put out in this world in a way. And when we are reactive, we also have to take ownership of what needs are we not communicating. So the journal prompt I want you to work on for this Cancer new moon on June 29th, 2022 is, what needs do you need to communicate a little bit better? And how can that be communicated properly? Also learning to forgive ourselves. That's another thing I wrote down. So knowing that we aren't perfect, and how can we forgive ourselves and others further outcome and what is. So again, there's going to be a lot of discussion of conflict, and not confusion, but conflict. And there's nothing wrong with discussion through conflict. I think it's an opportunity for us to be in the space of sharing truth in a loving way. But there is going to be some old wounds that will be triggered here, and the new moon in Cancer is bringing us a new perspective of how can we forgive this trigger a little bit deeper. Chop wood. I just pulled a card and felt called to. So this card is telling me that, there are some old patterns, there are some old traumas, there are some old, and it's interesting, I put this card right beside Yang, the Yang card, and this is masculine. So some of you are going through some wounds from the wounded masculine. And I'm going to share this, might be triggering, but it might be something in relation to trauma. It might be in relation to father wound, brother wound, friend wound, whatever it is. There is this chopped wood. So this Cancer new moon is an opportunity for us to forgive that masculine, but also communicate what we need to. And as I said that, there's a cat meowing, protection energy. Just calling that in. And with that cat omen, it's also a message that, asking ourselves, how can we tap into the masculine and healthy masculine in our being, and know that the masculine's here to hold space for us. And it's funny, again, another story from my travels, as I was going through this whole experience of cancellation and just horrible service with the specific airline, and anyways, I don't want to go into that, but I'm being in my energy, I'm making sure that I'm not holding that. One of the things that came up is a lot of the people who helped me along the way were the men. I got to the airport, and when I got my luggage lost, this person was like, do you need help with anything? I was stuck in London actually, and one of the gentlemen that was on my flight that I came from Canada, and he was like, here's this, my friend, he's a taxi driver, he'll help you out. When I got here, I got picked up by a male driver. There was a lot of just male energy, and it was, how can I receive the masculine? Cancer signs have gone through, I find, and tend to have gone through the wounded masculine. Not all, but it is a common theme that I see. And then this is going to affect all of us, but, how can we build a relationship with that? Is there an experience you have had that you have lost trust in being able to receive the masculine? And how can I receive it more? What are some things that I can do? I'm just going to change the lighting, that I can receive it more, So again, chop that wood. Time to not hold that burden anymore. Time to forgive in whatever way that we feel is necessary. Let's see. There it is. I don't know if you saw that. It flew out. So round and round. So we're going to find ourselves coming to, and I got this card also for the Sagittarius full moon. So we're still kind of getting some cycles a bit with the Sagittarius full moon in overlap. And I feel that. But here it's really saying round and round. We are going to find ourselves looking at these, feeling unsafe in our environment, being on fight or flight. Those two words came up from Spirit. Being on fight or flight constantly, if we don't chop that wood. And we will be round and round these cycles again. We will continue to be like, I want to purge my environment, but I'd rather hold on to this busyness and saying I'm too busy for things, or I don't have time. There's something that I like to say, when we purge physically, energetically, and emotionally in our space, we can create more space for love and new beginnings. And that's why it's connecting to the Sagittarius full moon, because that's all about new beginnings and taking adventures, not in the ways that we think of it. As I said that, the birds are louder than ever. So not in a way that we think of, right? Oh, round and round. Let's stop going round and round. And this card's looking at you guys, so I'm going to say it as well. It's all that glam. So it's time to really focus on the emotional intelligence this month, new beginnings on this. It's not all about the physical. And what I mean by that is, if you are still in the same mindset energetically and emotionally, no matter how much you also purge your environment, it's still going to be the same energetically. You're still going to feel those triggers. So knowing that when we're talking, make your environment feel more safe, when we're talking about that, so then you can come to a space of forgiving the masculine, forgiving that masculine in yourself and other people. This specifically is also talking about, remember that is in a 3-tier part. It's physically, it's energetically, and it's an emotional aspect. You can't just do the shadow work and think that it's going to heal everything only. When we do the healing and we figure out our boundaries, we have to take action with it. We need to communicate those things, communicate our boundaries, so then we can regain our trust for the masculine again. When we talk about physical, we can't just clean up and be meticulous with our environment, but never speak our emotions, never speak and tap into what we need to forgive in ourselves and stop being hard on ourselves, but also what burdens we are not allowing ourselves to let go so we can forgive them as well. So a lot of the theme and the emotion I'm feeling with Cancer New Moon is definitely grief, definitely anger, specifically resented anger that is coming from the wounded masculine. I keep saying it, but it's really loud as I'm talking about it. And every time I say it, I swear the birds go louder. So it is so important for us to tune into that energy and tune into that space. The next thing you guys need to know about this new moon in Cancer on June 29th, 2022 is that your emotions become your manifestation tool. What are some practices you can allow your emotions to be free and alive? And what emotions are coming up for you in this present moment? So again, Cancers, you are the emotional sign. You want to be seen. You want to be loved. You maybe might not say it directly, and that's why communication is such a big theme here. But at the end of the day, you're the ones that love a good snuggle, love a good cuddle, love a good appreciation of the work that you do, yet you gravitate sometimes to those relationships that don't see you in that because you have been taken advantage of in the past, whether that's a family member, a friend, whatnot. And again, remember, this Cancer New Moon is going to affect all of us. I always like to throw little nuggets for those who are those signs. So again, we're really asking ourselves, how can we be in alignment of our emotions right now? How can we really tune into what are my emotions telling me right now in this present moment? And how can my emotions be a guide to, support me in my, to feel safer in my environment, energetically, emotionally, and mentally? How can my emotions help me to forgive myself, the masculine within myself, the wounded masculine myself? Because remember, I also share that I do believe that when we have an experience that happens with the wounded masculine, it is mirroring something that we are holding to, a belief that happened within us. Not saying what the wounded masculine did is right, not at all. But I am saying, so many omens, another bird. I am saying though that this is an opportunity for you to really call in, knowing that when we manifest things on a subconscious level. And that's why when I talk to people saying, why isn't my manifestation working? What the Cancer New Moon is telling us is, how can we allow our emotions to be the gas in the car? To be the electricity in our Tesla car, if you want to. Whatever it is, we are focusing on allowing that to be the energetic drive. When we want to manifest something, it doesn't mean we have to work harder. I think a lot of people, and we're bringing, again, all that glitter back to materialization, manifestation, those of you who are really focused on this journey that we've started since the Sagittarius full moon and even before that. But, these new beginnings that are coming up for you, it's telling us that how can we know that it's not about work harder. This is an old habit that we were taught, or older, energetic subconscious was taught, our ancestors were taught, our lineage was taught, but we're learning that it's not working harder, it's working in a more conscious way. It's working energetically. It's learning the energetics of things. And because Cancer New Moon is igniting those emotions, it's allowing us to manifest that deeper. So ask yourself, how can I manifest with my emotions? Does that mean that I am releasing anger and pillow screaming, but then I'm using that activation in my voice to sing, to share what I want to manifest into the ocean, into the waters. As I look at the ocean here, into the waters, what are the things that I want to come into? What do I want to fill my cup with? That's what's coming up. There's a card here that's really calling me on the Ancestors card. Spirit's like, pick it up. And I'm like, okay. So let's pick it up and see what they're talking about. And let's ask for a sign for the Cancer new moon on June 29, 2022. And what our ancestors and guides have to tell us. Because there's a card here that is wanted to fall out. So, Air Guardian, shift your perception. I just talked about this. So again, shifting our perception with old wounds, shifting our perception of how we see our life just in general. And I'm going to read this card because I think it's a really good one. So let's see where this one is. Change the way you think and you will change your whole reality. This is exactly what I was telling you guys. So this one's all about talking about, you know, we need to stop thinking that everyone doesn't appreciate our love, that we won't get a committed relationship, that we won't find our soulmate, that we won't be appreciated and seen. You know, that was kind of a realization leading up to this new moon. So this Cancer new moon's allowing us to understand the air element is all about overcoming any thoughts that have come back to haunt you from the past and see the world more clearly. They are guiding you to change the way you think about certain situations, as this could be standing between you and your greatness. So ask yourself, what situations or memories are coming up during this Cancer new moon on June 29, 2022? Remember, we're looking 3 days before, even the week before for some of us that are very empathic, the day of, and 3 days after the shadow of the new moon as well. What is coming up? How is Spirit, Universe trying to ask you, shift your perspective, shift the way you look at things in the world? And knowing that the air is such a beautiful element because it touches so gently, but you never know what direction it goes. And with the wind, we can really see within nature the change of things, the way things move, the change of how a bird flies, the direction. They never go against the wind. They move with the wind, right? So nature is a great teacher of that. How can you move with where Spirit's bringing you? And as I say that, there was a big bee that came up. So we're having some abundance energy. These bees are huge. They're these black bees. They're worker bees. And they keep coming up to me as I'm here. Okay. So they're really big. They're like this big. So this card is really saying shift your perspective of how you want to see things in your life. Not that the universe is working against you with your emotions. Why aren't things working the way I want it to? It's working exactly how it's supposed to. You need to see something right underneath the nose that you weren't seeing before, and you are ready in a point that you can see it. The birds are going louder. Listen to that. Next card we have Animal Guardian, trust your instincts. Okay? Your soul, your spirit already knows where it wants to go with this Cancer new moon. It already knows what it needs to forgive. It already knows how it can be gentle on itself. It already knows how powerful your emotions and how powerful you are at manifesting if you just be more energetic with your work. I always tell people, I notice when I take a week off from my healing and serving the world, I come back stronger. I end up even doing better in my energetic world, in my energetic business, when I take some time for myself. And in the real world of things, no matter how much the world is asking you to do things and to nurture things around you, especially mamas, you gotta give yourself some love, because it's only a moment of time of burnout. And this is another thing. If you don't forgive some part of you or be gentle of yourself, you will find yourself in burnout. And what happens in burnout, it's really hard for us to get out of that because we're just so tired, we're so exhausted. So avoid burnout. This is a huge one for you guys and a huge message for you loves. Okay, let's go on with the next thing you need to know about this Cancer new moon. Forgiveness isn't an all in one day thing. Take it step by step. When I started working with my energetics and forgiving some of my deepest experiences, I didn't expect myself to forgive my father wound, forgive my brother wound, forgive the people, the masculine that put their wounded, their pains, their anger, their sadness, their grief, their unseen, their unloved on me, because they were wounded, right? So here what it's saying is, and this is why the divine works so beautifully, and weaves beautifully with the masculine, is that, you know, we need to understand that that is not a one-day thing. I always tell people, shadow work, you don't expect to go and come, even when I work with people, come to me and they say, I want to heal this one specific thing. And what I always tell them is that I know you want to heal that, but you're not going to just heal it and it'll be done. Our journey is eternal. You know this, conscious beings. You know this, right, fam? So we know that if our journey is eternal, then why in the world would the shadow work and healing and the feeling of emotions and the experiences and these tests from the universe be done overnight? But what happens is, it's not that we get over it. We change our energy. We allow our emotions to work with us. We listen to our body more. And when we do that, we find ourselves, sometimes that situation or a similar theme comes up, but this time we can handle it. We're aware of it. We're following our instinct. We're trusting our instinct. And we're allowing that new perspective again to come up so we can be better conscious healers and space holders for ourselves. So again, it's not a one day job. This isn't a one-day job. This Cancer new moon doesn't mean that you just work on with it for that week of the new moon week and that's it. It's like, we're going to work on it now and we're going to continue to work on it moving forward. And how can we do that? Okay, so let's pull one card about forgiveness. As I said that, there's no place like home. Again, we're coming back to environment, safetyness, knowing that every time we forgive a part of ourselves, we are coming that much closer to bringing home in ourselves, in our soul, in our divine being. And when we do that in ourselves, the people around us have no other choice but to respect that and to also do that and allow us to do that for our being. So again, there's no place like home. What does home feel like in your emotions? What does feeling safe to express your emotions feel? And for some of you, maybe your inner child's learning, and this might be something that's coming up. How did you cope with emotions as your younger self? Let's sit and talk about this. So as a younger self, how did you cope with emotions? Did you go to your room and scream in your pillow like this so no one could hear you because you knew that if someone heard you, your footsteps would be coming up at your door, giving you, some punishment in some way? Did you see it as a weakness when you cried? Did people mock you or did they laugh at you? What are some things that came up for you when you were in any emotion or the emotion that's coming up during this Cancer new moon on June 29th, 2022, 3 days before, the day of, and 3 days after? How did your younger self, if your younger self was in this situation, here's a practice for you, how would they act? What ways would they act in that way? What was their safe space at home? What were their coping ways? I remember I used to chew my clothes or chew a blanket a lot for comforting or rock myself. And when I went through my trauma of the wounded masculine, I noticed I went back to those coping mechanisms. So how are you coping yourself from forgiving your own being? How are you preventing through coping and, kind of nurturing the body from a space of fight or flight and knowing that you're safe now? Even for those who are still in a situation that they might not necessarily feel fully safe, that allowing your emotions to be expressed is one step closer to safeness. Because I know all of us are in different situations. So knowing that for some of you, the message I have for you is you're not in that situation anymore. You can let it go. Take that in. For others, you're maybe still in a situation where you feel unsafe in your emotions and you have to say, what has to change? What is one little step I can take forward today to make my emotions feel safer? So my future self can be like, yeah, we're doing it. How does your future higher self look like when they feel safe in their environment, safe in their emotions, safe in being held, safe in receiving that holding? What do they feel like? Safe in receiving that love. You give so much love for other people. Why don't you deserve the same? Mic drop. Let that sit. Why don't you deserve that same love? Who told you you don't deserve that same love? Maybe it's yourself. Maybe it's a family member. For a lot of what I'm hearing, Spirit's laughing. They're like, it's yourself. You know, it's you that's saying that. But why don't you feel like you can be loved the way that someone is ready? There's a soulmate. They're ready to love you. Your partner. I was talking about this over dinner last night. How are you rejecting your love from your partnership right now? Not allowing them to shower you with love. Authenticity, coming home to yourself, feeling at home, arriving at a place where you just fit, being comfortable in your own skin. How could I feel safe and comfortable in my own skin? This came up with one of a client session I had recently where we talked about that, you know. And sometimes that's because we've seen maybe our family members or our loved ones uncomfortable in their skin, you know, or we saw them having to hold their emotions or having to feel uncomfortable of being in their truth, or shame or guilt or whatever emotion that is, or sadness or grief, or try to stay strong for everyone else because we struggled. We went through this together. I grew up with, you know, I'm first generation Canadian. Struggle was something that we needed in our life. No, not all the time. And even if you aren't first generation Canadian or like first generation for your family from a Western culture, it's something that we need to say that it's time to come home. You know, there's no more struggle. You don't need to struggle no more. We're choosing that struggle because there is an air of energy that is wanting you to listen, and a whisper of spirit that's wanting us to listen at this moment. Remember that. Okay? The last thing you need to know, actually there's two more things I wrote down, downloads. Anger is okay. Find ways to release it. Pillow screaming into an open space, screaming into anything. Pillow punching, please release anger. Masculine, my lovely masculine beings on here. You can allow anger to come in, you know. Doesn't matter who you are, what your gender is. If you find yourself always in that masculine energy, that is your fear of being able to soften your shell. A shell that doesn't need to always be there sometimes. Yes, our ego protects us sometimes in a good way, but yes, we have this space where we can use our masculine to create boundaries. But here, Cancer New Moon on June 29, 2022 is all about let it free, let it go, let it come out. Express that in whatever way you need to. Make art that expresses and brings your anger. Make art that is the anger and the expression and the release of how angry you are of the masculine, and make that a practice of creating that art for you to remember what you're releasing and why you need to let it go, why you need to free it out of your body. So it's time to surrender in some way, and that's my last point I have for you. Surrender to what is in your emotional body, in your energetic body. You know, say, yes, I am very emotional, I'm very empathic, and see it as a gift. Stop saying that people are sucking your energy. Again, it's our responsibility to use that air element to communicate and listen to our body and what we need to share with others around us. If we don't know that, how can people know what they have to do in order to respect what we need, right? What we need in this world. And again, this is so, so important. So I hope this was a really, really helpful reading. I'm going to pull out an affirmations card for you, lovely souls. This was such a gift to be able to do it on the porch here as I'm chatting with you guys, and I'm starting my breathwork practice today. I just really want to share that, you know, this Cancer New Moon is going to bring a lot of perception in our emotions, and also you have an opportunity to receive it and let it go too. Let go of that resentment. But are you able to? Are you going to consciously allow that to come through? You are never given anything that, I'm going to laugh. You are never given anything you can't handle, and you're going to laugh when you see this card. Self-esteem. I possess gifts of my soul that benefits me and others. I possess gifts of my soul that benefits me and others. Write that down below. This is solar plexus, expanding how we see ourselves, how people see us. weak from our emotions, when actually that's not a weakness, that is a gift. You know, stop telling yourself that people see you that way. It's not that people are judging you, you're judging yourself that way first. And that makes you project it out into the universe. Forgiveness. This is the card I was laughing at. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks that flow of love. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks that flow of love. You know, we flow with love when we can release that resentment, when we can release that feeling that we have to resent something in our life. Forgiveness, this is where we bring into the sacral. And that's why I said the wounded masculine, because some of us feel we have to suppress our feminine, or we are being told or telling ourselves to just expand that masculine, to run away from what we feel. And it's funny, I talked about yang, but the reason why you're putting in that yang energy is so then you can feel protection enough and feel safe enough to bring in that feminine. Okay? Your heart needs to feel safe. Forgiveness comes from the heart chakra. Heart needs to feel safe for us to create what we want to bring into our life and to manifest. Right? And in our heart, how we find forgiveness and how we forgive others is for our emotions to be safe. So again, how can you feel more safe in your emotions and stick with this beautiful, beautiful affirmation? I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. When we are not forgiving, we would rather be angry than love someone, to look at them and say, I see you, I love you. 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 And it's so funny, as soon as I said that, this fly came. Flies are interesting. They're an energetic of either, there's two meanings of flies. Negative energy, or of someone watching us. Someone that resents us or envies us or maybe is jealous of us watching us. And when I said that, a fly came in and it was trying to come in my space, but because I kept saying, I love you, it ran away. So when we can love something that is angry, we can love something and we just say, we love you, I love you, and make sure it comes to the heart. Again, remember, forgiveness is not a one-day thing. You might not be able to say that today. I love you here, I love you here. And in doing that, I can now forgive with love. And it feels so much more safer. How beautiful does that feel and sound? So I hope you guys love this video. I know it was a little bit longer, but honestly, with the medicine, the animals, the sound of the ocean, I'm right beside the ocean as well, all of that combined just really, really brought so much medicine here for you, loves, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I think it's amazing that this Cancer new moon is going to bring us new relationships of our emotions, and I get to witness that through you guys. So please let me know in the comments what's coming up for you for this Cancer new moon, what's resonating just in watching this video, leading up to it or after it. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, subscribe, the notification bell so you don't miss a video. And I will have a meditation for you, loves. I'm feeling like I'll probably record it today and upload it for you guys in the next video. And I also want to share that please allow yourself to know that forgiveness is not a one-day thing. Take time to feel safe in your emotions, but you got to start somewhere for it to flow. You got to start somewhere. So how can I receive that more? Bring that in more. If you feel called to go deeper with my healings, don't forget to apply for my one-on-ones. Come to my medicine retreats. I have many retreats I just announced. If you're interested, message me on Instagram or email me through the link down below for my website. And also I have courses online that are amazing for you souls. If you would like to know a great course to get for this Cancer new moon, the Phoenix course I would highly, highly suggest. That is the inner child healing, and the citrine vortex, which is sacral, which is all about forgiveness. If that forgiveness word is really resonating with you, get that course. It will help you. I will link that for you lovely souls down below so you got it. And it's life-changing. It's hours of beautiful medicine and ceremony and practices to help you with that. I love you all so much. Happy Cancer new moon, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.